Next up, we're actually going to be talking about Pit People. It's currently released in early access, not a full release yet. It's the fourth game from Behemoth. They made Alien Hominid HD, they made Castle Crashers, they made Battle Block Theater, which are all really well put together games and they were very well critically received. I don't know how well Battle Block Theater sold, but I know it got very good critical reviews. Castle Crashers was like a phenomenon during Summer of Arcade for Xbox 360. And Alien Hominid, a lot of people like that game too. Pit People is really good. So where this falls in the timeline is after they finished Castle Crashers, they started actually working on this game and developing this game. It's a turn-based adventure game. It's the deepest game Behemoth's ever made. So it has the humor that Behemoth has. If you played a Behemoth game, you know their humor is very not afraid to be childish at times, but very, very self-reverential as well. Like, they make fart jokes. They also make fourth wall breaking jokes. Like, they're not afraid to just be funny, you know? They're not afraid to make dumb jokes either, which is great. Like I said, the art, it's that cartoon style with the whites mixed with the very bright colors. It actually has an equipment-based system in it as well. So you have these fighters, this party that you bring together. If you've ever played a turn-based RPG, you know what I'm talking about. You get these new characters. They all have their pros and cons to the weapons they use. And you find really cool and awesome weapons that are like giant swords or awesome shields. But you also find the weird ones like a crocodile sword or like a wrench. Like it's humorous, it's fun. Like I said, this is the deepest game that Behemoth's ever made. I loved Battle Block Theater and Castle Crashers. They're very arcadey. They're not very deep. They're long games, don't get me wrong, but the actual substance of the game isn't very deep. Very simple mechanics. This game, it's as deep as you want it to be. The main character is named Horatio. He's a blueberry farmer. At the beginning of the game, it kind of, in joking Behemoth fashion, when you play a turn-based tactics game, there's markings on the floor of areas you can move, right? And it's usually split by either hexagons or squares. And immediately at the beginning of this game, they talk about a giant bear that's in space hitting this planet, crashing into it, and basically realigning all of the tectonic plates on the planet into little hexagon shapes. So it kind of just gives you an explanation as to why your characters move like that. And it's
Ain't
broken
that a bitch
up like
when
that.
that happens?
Yeah,
Something
right.
crashes into your world and then all the continents are hexagon. It's just so annoying.
So yeah, the main character is Horatio. He's a blueberry farmer. He has a wooden fence as his shield and a hoe. If I remember correctly, as his main weapon.
Jerrad, this is a family show here. Come on, man.
This isn't a family show. Let's be honest.
Oh god. I don't want to spoil the beginning of the game because there's some really funny things that you don't expect to happen. I definitely don't want to spoil that for anybody. But you meet some other characters. There's Pip Estrella, who's a princess character. Her dad is Papa Estrella. You meet her in a castle. They do a lot of cliche stuff on purpose because it's just funny that way, and then they twist it on its head. There's other characters that I ran into that I'll tell you guys about. So there was Sophia, who's a pirate with a French accent. She actually has a net that she uses that's part of a mechanic I'll tell you guys about a little bit from now. There's Yosef, who's a guy who's made up of two Cyclopses, which is hard to... So he looks like a normal guy, but he was essentially two Cyclopses that merged together to make a normal guy, which is kind of like humorous. It's like, we're going to merge together to make a normal-looking guy.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. The game's called Pit People, and one of the big draws of the game, so you move around on like a hub world, and there's these little cities you can enter. I've only entered one so far. I'm only about an hour and a half into the game, and in the hub city, there's basically a home area where that's where you go to equip your characters with their items, like I told you guys about. There's a market where you can spend your gold that you earn from battling and stuff on items and such, and there's a pit, and what the pit is essentially, it's a coliseum. So you go in there, and it throws you a random situation. With random characters you have to fight, and that's how you earn gold. That's also the multiplayer hook. That's where you play people in multiplayer, is you enter the pit. So that's why it's called Pit People. I'm not too familiar with everything you can do in the pit. Like I said, I'm only about an hour and a half in, and I've only messed around with the pit a little bit, but it's really good. The rewards are really, really good as well. You earn a decent amount of gold from what I've seen, how the prices are in the market. They also have an item versus system where like some items are good against other items. So anything that's a hammer or a bludgeoning item is good against characters with helmets, and it actually boosts your damage, which is really cool. So earlier I was telling you guys about that pirate who has the net. There's a really cool mechanic in the game. So it's usually I have 4 people in my party right now, and you can run into in a tactics game. You can run into anywhere between like 1 person or like 10 enemies, right? And one of the mechanics in this game is when you get into a battle, it'll have all the enemies, and it'll have 1 person that you can potentially capture to be part of your party. The problem is that they don't differentiate it from an enemy, meaning that you can accidentally damage them as well. Part of the gameplay in this is it's not like a traditional tactics game where you choose who you attack. The character chooses based on distance, so that lends into the strategy of you need to make sure to move your characters in such a fashion that you don't accidentally kill the guy that you could potentially make part of your party. So it adds an extra level of the game of you needing to pay attention to where you're moving your characters and strategy. And the first character that you get introduced to this is you're going across a bridge, and there's a character that's actually a healer, it's actually a trap, and you get attacked by guys, and you have to make sure to try to kill them and save the cupcake. Spoilers. He's called Gluten the Healer, which is really funny. So every time you're introduced to new characters, they have this notebook that's kind of like the information hub for everything in the game. And it's not like a normal information hub. It actually looks like an OG notebook with hand drawings in it, and some of them are really funny. Like the one for the cupcake, he has like a very like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen SpongeBob, but you know the handsome Squidward face that's like really jarring and weird. He has like that kind of face that's sketched into the book. It's really funny. The humor is throughout the game. I don't think there's anything else to talk about as far as that. Like I said, I'm only about an hour and a half in, but it's definitely Behemoth's best game and deepest game. I don't know if you guys have any familiarity with the Behemoth games at all.
Just Castle Crashers.
Just Castle Crashers. So you're a little bit familiar with their humor then, right, Jordan? Yeah, it's really funny, but I really hope that people don't see this as just a funny arcade game, because it is their deepest game. It's their best game in my opinion. Castle Crashers is phenomenal, but Pit People is really good, and it's really deep. And I really hope that people who love like Final Fantasy Tactics and Fire Emblem can look past the humor. That's a great addition to it, but see that's actually a really good game too, and don't think it's just like a kiddie throwaway, you know?
Yeah.
It's a really solid game. Like I said, I don't want to dive deep into the game until the full release is out, just because that's how I feel about early access games. Is I don't want to play up until the point where it's like, hey, it's still in early access, come back later for the rest of the game. So I just played as much as I could to give a very solid preview, and I'm going to wait till the actual game releases. But yeah, I really like this game. It's available on PC as well as Xbox One, so if you don't have an Xbox One, definitely get it on PC. I doubt it takes a lot to run this game. It's not graphics intensive or anything like that, so if you have a laptop that's not necessarily a gaming laptop, look into the specs and see if you could possibly run it. But yeah, I think this is... Castle Crashers was phenomenal, but it was really seen as like an arcadey indie game. I think this is Behemoth's foray into like very deep games, if that makes sense. It sucks that it's console exclusive too, because I really think that you guys would like it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think if you own an Xbox or you're on a PC when this game comes out, or if you want to get early access, it's totally up to you. You can make your decisions as a consumer. It's a great game, and I can't wait for people to play it. So I'll eventually review it when the full release comes out, but that was just kind of my spiel on it. Do you guys have any questions regarding the preview? Did I answer most of it? Anything weird?
Yeah, I think you did, and it sounds like a cool game. I'm excited for it. Is it out of the question that it'll ever be on PlayStation?
Well, Behemoth, I think, is a third-party studio that's signed exclusive with Microsoft, so yeah. I don't see it coming.
Because Castle Crashers, is that even on PS3? I don't think it is.
I don't think so, no. So yeah, but if you have a PC, definitely check it out. And like I said, it's not a graphics-intensive game, so you don't need to buy a gaming laptop for it. I wouldn't think. Check your specs, figure it out.
You'd be surprised, like, what regular old laptops can do.
Yeah.
Like, you can play, like, Battlefield 4 on, like, a Surface Pro, and it's kind of interesting. Like, they're kind of impressive, actually. But
yeah,
besides
exactly.
the point.